From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara to lift and color from their brilliant eye brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is the go-to for amplifying everyday looks. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
He's a very polarizing figure, but he's also the world's richest man. And Elon Musk has tightened his grip on that title with the biggest IPO in history. The SpaceX IPO was $75 billion, beating the previous record set by Saudi Aramco in 2019 at about $30 billion. So SpaceX was twice that. Musk, who was also the Tesla CEO, became a trillionaire on day one. The stock up by about 50% in the first 3 days of trading. But here's the thing. The company doesn't make money, and it also doesn't have any real revenue. So what are people buying exactly? I'm Kris McCusker, and in this episode of In This Economy, I speak to Alison Kemper, Associate Professor in the Entrepreneurship and Strategy Department with the Ted Rogers School of Management with Toronto Metropolitan University. Thanks so much for doing this.
Okay.
So I'm interested in your take on this situation. So Elon Musk is the world's first trillionaire after SpaceX went public. What do you make of it? How do you see this?
I think that the IPO of SpaceX is an example of how completely confused and disoriented equity markets have become in dealing with most high-tech firms. No one really can evaluate SpaceX and get a good value on it. Investors that have gotten in on the IPO range from hopelessly ill-informed individuals to members of the American government that want to capitalize on their privileged positions, to ordinary funds that don't want to be left behind. So there's a large range of different kinds of investors, but nobody really has a good model to evaluate what's happening or good data. The prospectus, when it was first offered, many people thought was fairly full of conjecture. And I think that the pricing of the stock is fairly volatile and will be volatile for a long time. So it's definitely worth watching because it's so interesting. Would I want to put my money there? Not on your life.
Now, are you saying this because the company hasn't turned a profit, I guess, yet? Or is that just part of the story?
Well, the company has not turned a profit. But there's actually 3 major companies within that. One is the SpaceX itself, like putting rockets into space. Another is X and XAI or Grok. And the third is Starlink.
Right.
So the Starlink has the most clear profitability. People want to buy connectivity if they're on boats or in trains or in the wilderness, right? They've been able to turn a profit at Starlink. X is notoriously unprofitable and getting worse. And XAI or Grok is the worst of the large language models and will likely never do well at anything useful. And SpaceX is either going to take decades to become profitable and then become dominant in the universe, or just become laughably overpriced and without any real revenue stream. So SpaceX is the biggest hunk of this and is really not easily evaluated. XAI is very easily evaluated and isn't doing very well at all. And Starlink has done pretty well, although I was reading that its average cost per customer is going up, and its average revenue per customer is going down. So it may not have a business model that will work in the long run. Basically, people are gambling on SpaceX itself, of the three companies, being wildly profitable in the future.
In theory, you're betting on Elon Musk.
What's interesting about all of these technologies is that he doesn't kind of do the tech stuff. He is the impresario, but not the designer or the developer or the engineer. So he's the sales guy.
And can you speak to that a little bit? Because his public profile is a little bit mixed.
I think that Elon Musk has cultivated in the last 5 or 6 years a persona of being able to foresee or foretell the future and to, as Gretzky would say, skate to where the puck is going to go. And he has also been part of the development of a culture of large tech founders and owners that is trying to rebuild the planet, and human society to look a lot more like the world they could engineer. And so we get Peter Thiel at Palantir, and we get Jeff Bezos and a lot of those guys who have a fairly developed worldview that is fairly mechanistic and extremely elitist. And Musk has been able to do this more successfully than any of the others. How do we take all of the value that human beings generate and focus it on these aspirations that Musk develops? So there's an enormous amount of money that just got poured into SpaceX, a vast amount of money. So the question is, how does that money actually get made back? How do the investors get any money back on that? And who's going to produce the value that will reward the investors? So if I were to buy 100 shares of something we understand, GM, say, I would expect that I would, over time, be able to get dividends and increases in share price that would compensate me for their use of my capital, right? It's not clear to me that there is any ongoing, quarterly value going to be able to be made by SpaceX. We're talking about a company that will be able to get its value back if the planet is so denuded of value that we think it's better to go to Mars. If we continue to put fairly disposable satellites into orbit and say this is what we want space to look like in the future, is kind of peppered with SpaceX satellites, that we have to make real choices about what the global future looks like, and it has to look a lot like what he intends for the company to have any real value over time. And he's good at getting a number of political and governmental actors to support that, particularly in the U.S. and U.S. and Russia.
I like the way you've framed it, that he's the salesman. He's the one to sell the product, so to speak, and then the engineers do the engineering behind the scenes.
Right. And the value that he wanted to create when he bought Twitter and turned it into X was to create a platform for his viewpoints and for increasingly right-wing and racist and views, to legitimate those, right? And he's done that very well, but it has not been about improving social media engineering, right? Like he fired all the engineers at the beginning. So it's really been a job for the impresario and not for the engineers, the X ownership. In terms of the Starlink, that has been highly engineered, just like Tesla was, but the engineering has not kept up with the rest of the world in either of those cases, right? So people are getting better and better at building EVs and are leaving Tesla in the dust. People are coming up with other cheaper ways of creating global connectivity than Starlink. And what he needs is to create lock-in so that there's really only one way to put satellites in space and only one way to create global internet connectivity and only one way to power the world through his batteries and one way to transport people through his vehicles. He's trying to create a kind of regulatory lock-in, which is a pretty common corporate strategy. We teach that to undergrads and MBAs every day, and he's good at it because he has enough money to create the relationships with governmental officials.
What about the juxtaposition between the fact that he's a trillionaire, but at the beginning of Trump's second term, he came in as the head of Doge and cut.
People have enormous ethical issues with his efforts. He cut, and many of the things have had to be restored. Many of the programs have had to be restored. Many people have taken the U.S. government to court over the Doge cuts, and the government has been forced to restore the programs. One that did not get restored, that we have seen clearly the impacts of right now, is he axed the program that kept parasites out of the U.S. and under control in Central and South America, so that there is now a worm that is infecting American cattle, which will devastate their beef industry. And that's like in a year, the consequences of that cut are being felt catastrophically. If you pay attention to what has happened since the U.S. aid cuts, we know that there have been vast excess deaths, particularly in Africa, as a result of the U.S. aid cuts. And we know that the current Ebola epidemic would be far less severe and perhaps even under control if the Doge cuts had not happened. That the institutional mechanisms for addressing disease overseas, where it originates, would be much stronger and less dangerous in the long run. It wasn't good public policy. It was showmanship, right?
And the chainsaw added to that showmanship.
Yeah, and in the long run, the cuts, for instance, to the program that dealt with parasites is resulting in enormous losses in the beef industry, right? I don't think he's necessarily the savant, the person with the great insight and foresight that he wants us to believe in. And it's not clear that there was enough evidence for the current value of the SpaceX stock to be warranted.
That's a fair conclusion given everything we know today. From an ethical standpoint, I guess if his ethics are questionable, he's not the first billionaire or now trillionaire out there to be in that camp.
And I think what's distinct about Elon Musk is that many people have made money in ways that we would consider iffy at best. We called the super rich of 150 years ago the robber barons, but he's doing more than that. He's trying to transform ethical norms.
He's trying to change move the goalposts.
Move the goalposts. He's trying to restore. It seems fairly apparent that he is supportive of many things that are associated with Nazis, and this just astonishes me that he gets a pass on that. So I'm just amazed at how the financial institutions of Wall Street, the banks, the credit rating agencies, the stock markets, the regulators, all of those institutions are there to balance out the needs of the investors with the needs of the companies, right? So companies need capital, and they need investors, and investors need companies that will make money and that have reliable information for them to use to select where they put their investments. And that's what the banks are supposed to be able to do, and the credit rating agencies are supposed to do, and the regulators are supposed to do. And it's not clear that anybody's, they're not doing that job. So when SpaceX said we want to do an IPO and we want to change the rules so that we don't have to follow the regular NASDAQ rules, NASDAQ said, okay, you can have things your way. And it does not protect investors, which is one of the points of having regulators and stock markets that have rules. That's what started to happen in London in the 1840s, was accounting and share trading developed very quickly practices and regulations and finally laws that created greater transparency.
So bottom line, this IPO for us.
The way this makes any sense to anybody is investing in the inevitable. That you need to take a position as an investor in this industry if you believe that where he's going is inevitable, and that you will be left in the dust if you do not take a position. People panic if they think that they're not going to be able to be part of where all of the money is going anyway. They don't want to be left out. So people bought into this because they thought there was that this was the future, that they needed to buy in to take a investment position because this was the economy of the future. And that's his genius, is that he has convinced enough people that they have to be part of his worldview and his vision, and they have to cough up the cash to be part of it.
So put another way, they are buying what he's selling.
Yes.
And he's probably not going to be the only trillionaire going forward. There will be others.
Yes. He has first mover advantage big time, right? And Jeff Bezos is doing very well for himself by taking, 10, 20, 30% of the transactions in an enormous part of the real world market, right? Like, I just bought a summer bathrobe on Amazon that was just much easier to find there than I could find anywhere else. Buying that kind of stuff that's ordinary, nets him a lot of money. But it's rooted in kind of hard goods and soft goods. It's rooted in things we understand from the bricks and mortar days. He can only sell so many bathrobes. He can't sell a vision of a world dominated by bathrobes. Whereas Elon Musk can sell a vision of a completely different futuristic world.
It's an interesting analogy. He tends to be, a somewhat polarizing. That's the word I was looking for.
I think that he is enormously gifted at what he intends to do. And we do not have the institutional strength and know-how to evaluate what he's doing with our current capitalist system. We know how to evaluate GM. We have no clue how to evaluate SpaceX. And so people are buying into this future.
But don't you think that he's sort of counting on that? There's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time.
All right.
That's Alison Kemper, Associate Professor in the Entrepreneurship and Strategy Department with the Ted Rogers School of Management at TMU. You can listen to other episodes of In This Economy on the Seeker app. Please rate, review, follow, and share. Until next time, I'm Kris McCusker. Thanks for listening.
Some days you want a little extra oomph to your usual look. Whether that's lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, or awakening your eyes with a lasting lift and soft color with the Brilliant Eye Brightener, Thrive Causemetics is your go-to when you want to amplify your everyday look. Whether you want a simple, just got to get out of the door routine, or full glam, you'll always look and feel like the best version of yourself with Thrive Causemetics. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. And for every product purchased, Thrive Causemetics donates to help communities thrive. So every time you use your favorite Thrive Causemetics product, you're helping communities you care about too. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.